Let's move that like so. Okay. Hey everyone. So no, this isn't a flea market video. It's something different. I have obviously I don't just stop collecting records when the flea market ends, and I was thinking of ways to fill the hole that Flea Market Pickups has left in its wake, and this seemed like a pretty obvious idea. I'm going to be calling this vlog series "This Month in Vinyl," and basically what it is I'm just going to show off or just show you guys the records that I've gotten over the past month that didn't come from the flea market, so they wouldn't have been shown off in there. I could have done this a while ago because even when I go to the flea market, I get other records throughout the year. But better late than never. And I was wondering whether or not to do this from order from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, like chronological, or how significant they are to me, or how much I wanted to get them. For this one, I'm just going to have it from like significance instead of chronological. But if the people would prefer it the other way, I can do that too. But I got 5 records here, and I'm just gonna get started with the first one, and it's the soundtrack to Blue Velvet, the David Lynch film. If you do not know what Blue Velvet is, go watch it. It's probably David Lynch's most approachable movie. It's pretty simple. It's pretty much about a guy who it's actually been a few years since I've seen it. It's about this guy who pretty much gets into more than he bargained for when he starts seeing this girl who's involved with some unsavory figures like Dennis Hopper. He's pretty innocent, like high school aged guy. Here he is. It's Jeffrey Beaumont. It's the avatar. It's the avatar for this channel and for a lot of other places I use. And I guess this is a better time than ever to explain why that I have that as my picture. Basically, when I was watching Blue Velvet, I noticed that during one scene, I don't even remember when it is. It's early in the movie, but like Kyle MacLachlan makes this weird looking face, and it's like it's not one of those like faces where it's like for a frame. He like makes it for a couple seconds. And if you've seen Blue Velvet, he's like in a car, and I believe he's talking to oh god, what the hell's her name? Laura Dern. Yeah, he's talking to Laura Dern, I believe. So watch the movie and find that scene. And I mean, I don't know if you'll think it's as funny as I did, but I really thought it was funny. So I went to go find like the movie, and I just like screen capped that image, and then that was just my Steam profile picture since like probably 2016 or so. And at the time I just had that as my Discord avatars as well, because I wasn't really into Discord yet, and I was like, fuck it, just making my Steam avatar, and it's kind of stuck with me. So I feel I'd feel bad if I changed it. But yeah, anyway, Blue Velvet, the movie. I saw this at a Bull Moose like last week or so, and it was kind of more of an impulse buy, because I wasn't looking for this. I didn't even know. I guess I should have assumed the soundtrack was on vinyl, but I didn't know this was. This is actually a recent repress, I believe, from 2017. I didn't know they repressed it. So I paid like $14. Not bad, decent price. You're not gonna get like huge deals, and you're not gonna get like huge deals from like retailers or from the series usually. Because I'm not going to the flea market. I'm going to like either Discogs pages or like actual like artist pages. Like for example, I got this one off Turntable Lab, and this is Stars Heart. Stars, the name of the band. Heart, the name of the album. Uh, so Stars are like a Canadian indie pop band, and if my 13-year-old self heard me using the term indie pop seriously, he'd probably smack me, but it's a legitimate term. And this album, if you ever heard of Broken Social Scene, you might be familiar with Stars because they are one of the many collaborators for that project. And I found out about Stars through my Discover Weekly showed me the song Elevator Love Letter, and I liked that song a lot. So I decided to listen to the album, and I also liked that a lot, and I started listening to more of their catalog, and yeah, they're like a pretty good band. And just recently, this album was pressed for the first time on vinyl, I think, in 2018, on this like very nice looking translucent blue. Maybe the camera doesn't show it as well, but like up against the light, it just looks really pretty. And yeah, I got this off Turntable Lab for like $15, maybe like I think like $21 after shipping, which is pretty good. It's a limited. I mean, you know, they always say that it's limited releases, but it's been a year and you can still pick it up off websites like that. So they must still have a few copies left. I'd recommend this album if you like bands like Broken Social Scene and Metric and stuff. They're very similar. Maybe not exactly in sound to Metric, but I think if you like one, you'll like the other. So yeah, that was a nice one. This next album is interesting because I never thought I'd actually have this on vinyl, and it's Two Mellows, Memories of Tokyo To. Now, if you don't know what this is, I don't blame you. It's one of the many albums by a indie online like hip hop trip hop artist called Too Mellow, and in 2018 he made a tribute album to the game Jet Set Radio. In case you couldn't tell from the cover in the back, I found out about Too Mellow through through people talking about this album because I'm a big fan of Jet Set Radio, and you can just see from this like insert, he just, first of all, the art for this album is just like perfect. It really captures the aesthetic of Jet Set Radio, but the music, like holy shit, this Hideki Naganuma's sound is like really distinct, so it's crazy to me that he manages to like capture it perfectly. Like no joke. This if any of these songs appeared in a Jet Set Radio game, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would assume that it was composed by Hideki Naganuma. So in that regard, very I would have to say very good job. Just a fun like kind of quick album to listen to. I think it's around like 40 minutes or so maybe not that quick. But I remember following him on Twitter at the time, and he was saying that this would never get a vinyl release because it's too expensive. Well, I believe Ship to Shore maybe footed the bill a bit and deemed it a worthwhile investment, because here it is on vinyl, official. It was on his Bandcamp. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get it anymore. I'm sure copies sold out super quick, but I mean, just look at this thing. This looks, the Stars album looked really good. This just looks real snazzy. In case you can't tell, I'm a real sucker for colored vinyl. It's kind of my Achilles heel, and I've talked about it before, I'm sure. It's just I can't help myself. They just look so pretty, you know. I, I'm I sound like a broken record, no pun intended, at this point, just talking about colored records. But yeah, Memories of Tokyo Toe. I think all these albums you should listen to, but this one especially because it's like it's like an indie artist, so supporting them is pretty important to make sure we get more stuff like this. Oh boy. Yeah, so this is just a really cool thing to have. I pre-ordered it immediately back in like July or August, and I got it just in October. I'd actually completely forgotten about it until it arrived at my doorstep. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't remember ordering any records. And then I'm like, oh yeah, all right. So this next record is interesting because it's a first for my collection. It's the first ever lathe cut I have, and it is a lathe cut of the Luigi's Mansion soundtrack by Select Start. So if you don't know what a lathe cut is, I'm no expert, but from what I can gather, off the top of my head, a lathe cut record, as opposed to the normal way vinyl records are made, lathe cut records, the grooves are applied by hand or like manually or whatever, instead of like an automated process. So it's more it's less durable than vinyl and is more prone to sound issues. They usually don't sound as good. And I have listened to this, and I would be lying if I said that it sounded amazing the whole way through. But for the most part, it did sound pretty good. There were just some hiccups here and there. But I got this from an eBay auction from the guy, from Mr. Select Start. He was auctioning off a black version of the soundtrack. You can kind of see that like the grooves are a little less pronounced. I believe is part of the lathe cut process. But yeah, he was auctioning off a black version of the record or the album, and this, according to that eBay auction, this is the only black version of this album that exists. If I recall correctly, he said that it was a test pressing that he just used as like a starter version before getting the translucent green copies out. And it went up for auction, and I was feeling like, you know what, fuck it, I'll try and get this. And I ended up paying like $80 or so, which is kind of a hefty price, and I don't think I would do this again for the sound. But I do think it's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool like packaging. Like the cover of this is really nice. And the fact that it's one of a kind is also kind of cool. But yeah, I first found out about this stuff because I think someone posted one of one of his soundtracks on like one of the VGM vinyl subreddit, and it just kind of led me down this rabbit hole because there's actually a lot of people making bootleg video game soundtracks, and if I'm being honest, I'm all for it. Because these people won't... Nintendo's not gonna fucking make this soundtrack on vinyl. So, fuck it. It's up to the... It's... I'm kind of two minds about it. Because, yeah, I mean, it isn't their music. Sure, but it's kind of people aren't really getting this to like pirate the music. They're kind of getting it because they appreciate the music and they want it in a physical collectible form. So I don't know. I sounded so gung ho and sure of myself, and I instantly walked it back. Oh, I instantly walked it back. But yeah, these these lathe cut records. There's a lot of people making these, and I kind of don't want to blow up the spot because what they're doing is kind of not true. So basically, if you're interested in these at all, um, be start looking around for the people that make them and kind of put alerts, kind of just like keep tabs on them like frequently, because they like to cover their tracks because what they're doing obviously isn't very legal. But if you're interested in getting one of them, yeah, just keep tabs on them, and when one of their releases go up, snatch it up quick, because if you don't, someone else will, and they'll fucking flip it for a profit. Unfortunately, a lot of these soundtracks on the aftermarket go for maybe double the amount that they were originally sold for, which at least the person who's originally selling the records at least has to go through the process of like mastering it for vinyl and stuff. The people who flip them literally just bought them and are selling them again. Uh, so yeah, keep your eyes peeled if you're interested, and just be patient too. You have to be patient because not everyone is going to flip their records for an exuberant price. People will be. You'll find that sometimes you'll get someone who's a lot more, uh, willing to part with it for a better price. So now it's on to the final record I got, and I got this maybe like 2-3 weeks ago. And if you follow my Instagram, you know what this already is. And this this version of this album I've been wanting for a very long time, and it is Weezer's Pinkerton. As you can see from the sticker here, it's the Deluxe Edition 4 LP set. So when I first started collecting records, the first album I got was Built to Spill's There's Nothing Wrong with Love, which I mentioned in my favorite records videos. But I believe the second album I got, I ordered it off Amazon back when I bought records on Amazon, which I didn't really get too many. The second record I got was Pinkerton. It was like a 2016 repress or something, and starting out, I mean, it's fine. It's just the album, right? And a little later, I found out about the Vinyl Me Please repress of Pinkerton, which is on this really pretty, like, snow blue sort of, like, I think it's like translucent or something. It looked really nice in the pictures. It's like a black and blue. That was it. And I wanted that release for a while, and apparently it's based off the MoFi release, which is like a higher quality sound that I didn't know about until recently. But I then, like a few years ago, found out about this deluxe edition release from back in 2010. I knew about the deluxe edition. I just never knew it was on vinyl. So if obviously the first LP is the original album, from all 10 tracks, and then the 3 other LPs are B-sides from the Pinkerton, from like the Pinkerton singles and stuff, and there's also a bunch of live performances, mostly of like El Scorcho and Pink Triangle, but I mean, this is if you're getting this deluxe edition, chances are you probably don't mind hearing El Scorcho and Pink Triangle a lot, like me. But there's also a couple of really cool things on here. Like there's an alternate take of Butterfly, which is nice. The coda version of Long Time Sunshine, where there's a bunch of extra singing parts at the end. Tragic Girl, which is a really great song that almost made it onto Pinkerton. Same with Long Time Sunshine, but both were cut for Butterfly. And then I just threw out The Love of My Dreams, which is also a really great song. Most of these are from like songs from the Black Hole stuff that just never made the cut. So it's really cool to have these in vinyl form. And also it's 4 LP, so it's got so much art. We have the song lyrics from Rivers Diaries, from the Pinkerton Diaries. There's just like notes from just a bunch of stuff, just a bunch of art from this era, and I don't know how well I can show this on camera, but it's really cool. It's pictures from like recordings in the studio, the band, and all their signatures. Even Matt Sharp, even despite him not being in the band anymore. Uh, so I don't know if these are printed on or not, because the way it looks like on here, it kind of looks like the marker sort of faded in a more natural way. So it's possible that these were all handwritten in. I'm not positive though. I'd have to check with other versions of this. But how much did I pay for it? And you'd actually be surprised. Remember what I was saying about people being patient and waiting for a good deal? Well, guess what? Um, it's this is on black, by the way. 180 gram though, so it does feel really weighty. Not that that matters much to the sound quality, but you know, feels nice. Uh, so for the longest time, I was stalking the Discogs pages, the Discogs sell page for this album, and there were several listings always, but a lot of them were either like VG plus condition, which isn't bad, but I wanted, I wanted as good a condition as possible for this thing. And if they weren't VG plus, they were from a foreign country, which meant that I would have had to pay out the ass for shipping. I guess it depends on where exactly, but I wasn't very comfortable doing that. So I just kind of sat. I just sat and waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I actually almost pulled the trigger on a version that was like really beat up, especially on the spine. It was like torn away. I almost tried to get that version, and then like I think a day after I was contemplating that, a copy from Pomona, California, came up on Discogs near mint condition for I believe 70-80 bucks, and it was a way better price than literally anything else on there. So I snatched that up fucking immediately. And a few weeks later, it comes to me and it's still sealed. Unfucking believable. Like, I don't think he said anything about it being sealed in the description, so I wasn't expecting it. But that's why I still have the sticker, because I tore the sticker off of the shrink wrap and I put it on the outer sleeve here. And oh man, yeah, this is just really nice to have. To unironically use a phrase, this is a lay grail, if I have any. If I made that top 10 favorite records, collection video to today, this would definitely make it on here. Probably right before or right after the Postal Service box set, which I believe this and I have the OK Computer, the Pinkerton, and the Postal Service box sets, and I guess is it really fair to call them box sets? It's probably more like deluxe editions, which would be a better term. But yeah, this feels really nice to have, and me getting this record just it kind of re-sparked a love I felt for Pinkerton. Because I'd listened to it a few months ago and I was like, yep, still hits. And just after listening to all the B-sides and stuff, I just started listening to it again and again and again. And that's why we got that main channel video where I defended Across the Sea. That's why. Because I couldn't stop fucking thinking about it. And I felt so impulsive. It felt very impulsive, so I kind of wanted to do it really quick before I kind of lost interest or lost steam, because as fast as the idea went into my head, I felt it was immediately going to fall out, because it's kind of it's not a video that really fits on my channel exactly, because it's mostly about video games, but so the more I felt like the more I would think about it, the more I would decide against it, and I didn't want that. Also, it's kind of, I don't want to say controversial. I mean, I guess it literally is controversial, the song itself, but me covering it, I would feel I guess I would have like cold feet or something for defending a song like that, even though I 100% stand by it. Like, still, it's one thing to think that, it's another thing to say it and put it like permanently on the internet, because that video is what it is. What I said in that video is what I said, and I can't like edit and change it anymore. But I'm still happy with how it came out. Surprisingly, for how fast I was, I managed to make it. It's not the fastest I made a video. I believe the Mike Hayes video was faster. That was made in less than a day. But I think the Pinkerton one, or the Across the Sea one, is probably in second place. Besides the shitty meme videos I did sometimes, like that It's Always Sunny, like Ice Climbers one, but just yeah, listen to Pinkerton, I guess. And I guess, yeah, that's that is this month in vinyl. Tune in next month, where I'm sure, I guarantee you, I will have some cool stuff, because I've already got something in the mail, or coming in the mail. So tune in next month and you'll see what it is then. Till next time, later.